The camera opens on a dusty roadside. A small boy barefoot, with a torn school bag slung across his shoulder, stands beside a rusted bicycle with a hand-painted sign, "For sale, $20." A group of roaring motorcycles stops nearby. The boy nervously steps forward and says softly, "Please, sir, buy my bike. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The leader of the bikers, a tall man with a leather jacket and tattoos on his arms, takes off his helmet, revealing not anger, but shock. "Kid, what did you just say?" And that's when the story unfolds of loss, betrayal, and the unexpected kindness that changed everything. Stay till the end, because the truth about who took everything from that little boy's mother will break your heart and maybe restore your faith in humanity. The sun was setting over a quiet suburban road. Cars rushed by, their drivers too busy to notice the frail little boy standing beside a cracked pavement. His clothes were worn, his face streaked with dirt, and his small hands trembled as he held a cardboard sign against the wind. The sign said simply, "For sale, $20. Please help." 8-year-old Ryan had spent 2 hours standing there. His stomach growled, but he didn't care. All he wanted was enough money to buy food for his mother. His mother, Elena, once worked as a cashier at a small grocery store. She was gentle, humble, and always smiling until life took everything away from her. Her husband had passed away in a construction accident a year earlier, leaving her with medical bills and no savings. Then, 2 months ago, a man she trusted, a landlord, took the last bit of their savings, promising to help invest it to get them out of debt. He disappeared the next day. They were left with nothing but an old bicycle, Ryan's only toy and his late father's last gift to him. That was the same bike he was now trying to sell. As the boy stood quietly, the sound of roaring engines filled the air. 6 motorcycles stopped nearby. They were big, loud, and covered in chrome. The riders, tough-looking men with leather jackets, parked in a line. Ryan froze, clutching his sign tighter. The leader, a man in his 40s with a scar under his eye and kind but weary eyes, stepped off his bike. His name was Derek, a veteran biker who'd seen enough of life to know when someone was truly in need. "Hey, kid," Derek said, walking closer. "Why are you selling your bike?" Ryan looked down. "Because Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The words hit Derek like a punch to the chest. The other bikers fell silent. Ryan continued, voice trembling, "She says she's okay, but I saw her crying last night. She hasn't eaten, only gave me the last bread we had." Derek swallowed hard. "Where's your mom now, son?" "At home. She's sick. I was hoping, if I sell my bike, maybe I can buy her some food." Derek knelt beside him, his rough biker gloves gently touching the boy's shoulder. "Keep your bike, kid. We'll handle this." The bikers exchanged glances and in seconds, they kicked their engines back to life, following Ryan to a small broken house at the end of the street. Inside, they found Elena sitting by a candle, too weak to stand. When she saw them, she tried to hide her face in shame. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "we don't take charity." Derek shook his head softly. "This ain't charity, ma'am. This is family helping family." That night, the bikers brought groceries, blankets, and medicine. They cooked dinner right there in her kitchen, laughing, sharing stories, making Ryan smile for the first time in weeks. But while everyone was eating, Derek noticed something. On the wall, there was a framed photo of Elena's husband standing proudly in front of a construction site. And next to him was a man Derek recognized. He didn't say a word then, but his face hardened. The next morning, Derek returned with 2 of his biker brothers. They had spent the night digging into Elena's story, tracking down the man who invested her money. His name was Frank Dalton, and Derek knew him well. Frank was once part of their biker community. But he had been thrown out years ago for scamming and stealing from veterans' families. The man was a smooth-talking con artist, always finding new ways to prey on the desperate. Derek's jaw clenched. He remembered the last words he'd said to Frank years ago, "If you ever steal from the helpless again, I'll find you." Now, it was time to keep that promise. They found Frank in a local bar, laughing loudly, flashing a gold watch and a fat wallet. When Derek walked in, the laughter died instantly. "Derek," Frank said nervously, backing up. "Hey, brother, it's been a while." Derek slammed a photo of Elena and Ryan on the table. "You took their money. You left them starving. That boy tried to sell his bike to feed his mother." Frank stammered, I was gonna pay her back." "No," Derek cut him off. "You're gonna make it right now." Within hours, Derek made sure every stolen cent was returned. The bikers didn't break any laws, they used their connections, proof, and community to expose Frank's scams to the police. Justice was served. But that wasn't the end. 2 days later, a convoy of 50 bikers rode into Elena's neighborhood. The sound shook the streets. Neighbors came out to watch. Ryan stood on the porch, eyes wide in disbelief. One of the bikers rolled forward, holding something in his hands, a brand new bicycle, painted blue and white, with Ryan's name written on it. Derek smiled and said, "You don't sell memories, kid. You build new ones." Tears rolled down Elena's cheeks as she hugged Ryan. The bikers surrounded them, clapping, cheering, some even crying behind their sunglasses. Derek handed Elena an envelope with a small note inside. "You helped your son believe in kindness again. Now let us help you believe in life again." Inside was a fund they had raised to get her back on her feet, rent for 6 months, food, and support to start a small home business. As the engines roared one last time, Derek looked back and saw Ryan waving, his new bike gleaming in the sunlight. And in that moment, Derek whispered to himself, "Sometimes the smallest hearts remind us of the biggest truths. Kindness always finds its way home."